At a time when President Donald Trump is doubling down on his America First policies and aggressive tariffs, the rest of the world isn't sitting still. Behind closed doors, China and Brazil just executed a move that could completely reshape the global oil map. Brazil is sitting on some of the richest untapped oil reserves on the planet, especially in the pre-salt region buried deep under the Atlantic Ocean. We're talking billions of barrels of high-quality crude. Enough to make any country a key player in the global energy arena. And who's moving in to claim it? China, the world's top energy consumer. While the United States continues escalating trade disputes under Trump's second term, hitting rivals and allies with tariffs, China is playing a different game. They're buying influence, access, and long-term control. This deal isn't just about oil. It's economic payback. China hasn't forgotten the sting of Trump's first-term tariffs. But now in 2025, they're taking a smarter, quieter approach. While Washington is busy fighting political fires, China is securing decades of affordable energy. And the United States? It may have just handed over its leverage without realizing it. To understand how this oil alliance came to be, we have to rewind a bit. Back to the height of the U.S.-China trade war. Between 2018 and 2020, during Trump's first term, the U.S. slapped tariffs on hundreds of billions in Chinese goods. In response, China retaliated, targeting American agriculture, especially soybeans and beef. And right there in the middle, Brazil. Brazil is a global leader in agriculture. As U.S. farmers got hit, Brazil should have been the big winner. But the chaos of the trade war dragged down prices and disrupted shipping lanes. Brazil lost over $3 billion in exports. Brazil began questioning whether the U.S. was a reliable partner, especially when policies could change with a single tweet. One Brazilian official even put it bluntly, "We can't bet on a partner that changes the rules overnight." So when Trump returned in 2025 with more tariffs and hardline trade stances, Brazil looked elsewhere. They turned to a partner who was steady, strategic, and had deep pockets, and China was ready. Over the past few years, Beijing invested over $7 billion into Brazil's energy infrastructure. They built ports, upgraded refineries, and laid oil transport routes. These weren't just handshakes. These were deep, long-term commitments. The United States had years to seize this opportunity. Brazil once looked to Washington as a trusted energy ally. But through 2 Trump terms, the U.S. canceled talks, sidelined deals, and focused on trade fights with China, Europe, and even Canada, ignoring what was happening in South America. So while America argued, China acted. Let's break down what's in this game-changing China-Brazil oil deal. China locks in a 20-year supply of Brazil's premium pre-salt crude, some of the cleanest and most valuable oil on the market. Even better for China, the price is fixed. That means no matter what happens in the oil market, China gets consistent, predictable pricing. It's like locking in cheap gas before a storm. While others scramble, China stays powered and prepared. And Brazil? They're not walking away empty-handed. In return, China is sharing advanced offshore drilling and refining tech, providing billions in loans to upgrade Brazil's ports, pipelines, and power grid. Now, some analysts raise red flags, calling this a potential debt trap. That's when China lends heavily and, if the country can't repay, takes control of assets like ports. We've seen it before, in Venezuela and Angola. But Brazil is different. With a stronger economy and functioning democracy, Brazil is setting the terms. This isn't desperation, it's strategic alignment. In short, both sides win. But the clear loser? The United States, a country that once had the chance to strike a similar deal and let it slip away. This isn't just another deal, it's a direct blow to America's global energy influence. For years, Washington relied on partners like Brazil to counterbalance OPEC plus production cuts. That gave the U.S. leverage, keeping oil markets in check. But now Brazil is aligning with China. And here's the kicker. This deal doesn't even use U.S. dollars. China is paying in yuan, not greenbacks. That may sound minor, but it's not. Most global oil trades happen in U.S. dollars, a system called the petrodollar. If more nations start trading in other currencies, the dollar's power could start slipping. That would impact everything, from interest rates to trade and even America's global influence. For decades, the United States wrote the rules of the oil economy. Now, China's building its own system, and Brazil just signed on. Want proof? Look at the map. China now holds long-term oil deals or port access in Iran, Russia, Venezuela, Iraq, Angola, and now Brazil. Meanwhile, United States influence is fading. Allies are turning into competitors. Former partners are going silent. America's energy strategy is starting to look like a chess game, one where the opponent has all the queens. Here's what most people don't realize. Brazil isn't just playing middleman in this China deal, it's actually the quiet winner. President Lula da Silva has made Brazil's position clear. They're not picking sides, they're playing both. In his own words, we're not pawns, we're kings. That's not just posturing, it's smart strategy. By leaning into its relationship with China, Brazil is sending a direct message to Washington. If you want us close, make a better offer. It's classic power politics. Brazil isn't aligning with China out of loyalty. It's leveraging the relationship to get better deals from the United States. And here's the twist. This whole shift was triggered by Trump's own tariffs. Back in 2018, when Trump launched sweeping duties on Chinese imports, the intention was to weaken China. But instead, China turned outward, looking for new allies, and Brazil stepped in. Now in 2025, with Trump back in office and tariffs still in play, the unintended result is clear. Brazil is more powerful than ever. What was meant to isolate China ended up amplifying Brazil's global energy role. It's like lighting a fire to scare off a predator, only to burn down your own fence. And now the predator is lounging comfortably in your neighbor's yard. Lula didn't panic. He waited, played the long game. And now Brazil is winning stronger trade with China, booming energy exports, and attention from both major powers. The United States thought it was running the show. Now Brazil might be setting the rules. This isn't the first time economic weapons have backfired on the United States. Let's rewind to 1973. That year, the U.S. backed Israel during the Yom Kippur War. In response, Arab oil nations slapped an embargo on America. The result? Gas lines around the block, tripled prices, and fights at the pump. It was a brutal lesson. Use economics as a weapon, and it can easily turn on you. Now in 2025, we're watching a similar mistake unfold in slow motion. Trump's tariffs were meant to protect American workers and punish China. In the short term, they applied pressure. But long term, they helped push China toward new alliances, and Brazil answered the call. Instead of isolating China, the U.S. built a bridge between two global giants. Even U.S. policy experts are starting to admit it. One said recently, Trump's tariffs were a short-term win and a long-term disaster. It's like trying to dam a river, only to see it carve a new, faster path around the wall. So where are we now? Trump is back, the tariffs remain, and the U.S. is once again relying on pressure instead of partnerships. But history shows when America tries to shape the world economy by force, it often ends up driving allies into the arms of its rivals. Is it game over for the U.S.? Not yet. But catching up won't be easy. Trump has tough choices. He could try re-engaging Brazil with better trade terms, investments, or energy partnerships. But China is already ahead. Billions invested, oil locked in. It's like trying to catch a marathon runner who's already miles in front. Another option is financial pressure, using the IMF or World Bank to influence Brazil, but that's a dangerous move. It could backfire, pushing even more countries in the global south toward China and deepening global divides. Many experts now say the window may have closed. China's aggressive strategy, paired with Brazil's smart diplomacy and America's missed chances, have created a new reality. Still, it's not too late to change course, if the U.S. stops depending on tariffs and force and starts rebuilding partnerships. But will Washington actually learn from this before it's too late? We're watching a major realignment in global energy. The old system, where the United States controlled the flow of oil and wrote the rules, is quickly dissolving. Nations like China and the BRICS bloc, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are now building new networks that bypass U.S. financial systems and skip the dollar altogether. Look at India and Russia, already trading oil without using U.S. dollars. That's a clear challenge to the petrodollar system. China's strategy is obvious. Lock down energy sources before the next crisis. It's like stocking your shelves before a storm. The energy game of the 21st century isn't about who has the most oil in the ground, it's about who controls the infrastructure, the trade routes, and the tech that moves energy around. And right now, the US is losing ground. Global energy isn't just about pipelines anymore. It's about alliances, influence, and who gets to write the future's rulebook. So what does this mean for you? If you're an investor, start looking beyond US energy stocks. Brazil's booming oil sector and China's expanding market are creating new opportunities. Think Brazilian ETFs or Chinese oil futures. These could be major growth plays in the years ahead. If you're a policymaker, wake up. Tariffs aren't just hitting your opponents, they're hurting your allies and undercutting your long-term strategy. And for everyone watching, this is your sign. The global balance of energy power is shifting. Will it spark a crisis in the United States? Or is this change just part of a bigger cycle? Let me know what you think. Agree? Disagree? Drop your take in the comments below. And don't forget, next week we're diving into how Saudi Arabia is quietly preparing to bet against the US dollar in the energy market. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming.